Hey, how's it going? Jason here, and in this episode we will be revisiting this Yaupon Holly I have right here. So guys, I'm back. I was finally able to move my warehouse and part of my nursery, and I was also able to move my studio, so that took about 2 months. But here I am in my new studio, and we're going to be working on this Yaupon Holly that we haven't worked on it in quite some time. Unfortunately, this tree was doing really well, and it was growing exactly how I wanted to, and then I kind of lost track of it in the spring, and now it's back to this. So what we're going to do is revisit the couple branches that we worked on before, and we're going to see if we can find the shape that we originally made and at least start to develop it from there. And because it's growing so vigorously, I actually might trim it down some more, but we'll see what happens. First thing we're going to do is get rid of some of the sucker branches that have come out, and those are these guys right here. You know, some of the sucker branches are these ones right here. We're going to remove those, so you just cut those off, and we're going to see if we can find a base in this tree. You can see that the base is still really nice, and it's just too much on the top all over here. So we're going to trim it back, and we're going to see what we can find. And what I can do initially is just really get rid of some of the big branches that are growing up, and that's just because this tree grows so strong and so vigorously. So I'm going to cut some of those back. And just that cut alone, we can start to see exactly where we were before with this one branch that we were working on. And that's actually developing pretty nice. So now I'm just going to get rid of those ones going up. And some of these ones that are going out too far, I mean, those are pretty clear that we're going to cut back. And I'm using my branch cutter just because it's been sitting there so long. You know, I was moving and it was sitting in the corner and kind of forgotten. So the branches actually grew really thick. So I'm going to go in here and just cut those ones going up. And I'm not cutting them flush all the way down. I'm still leaving them so they have a little bit of a peak. So they're coming out a little, they're kind of popping up a little bit, and then I cut them back. All right, so you can see these ones right here growing out so far. So we can cut those back. This one right here is going straight up. This one right here is growing out really far, so we can cut it back. And the good thing about this is since we identified a structure early on, all this is kind of like topiary pruning at this point. You know, I'm grabbing the ones going down and the ones going straight up. Okay, and just like that, you can already see that's a little flatter. Okay. So now we can continue. And this one was coming out, so it turned up, so we're going to cut that one back because we don't want that turning up. And that's just because of the sun. It's looking for the sun, so it's kind of reaching for it. Okay, same with this one. Those are going straight up. Okay, so now we can go back to where we thought was the front, which I think was right here. So sometimes inside the tree, you're going to get a lot of branches growing in, where not on the pad sections, but just kind of on the interior of the trunk, and they're too close and they're too young, so we have to get rid of those so we can expose the trunk again. And you guys notice I'm kind of doing one pad at a time. First thing I'm doing, I just did this pad right here, and then I'm doing the ones going up, so I'm kind of doing it in a methodical fashion. I'm doing the ones that are going up, and then at the end I'm going to go in there and really start to get kind of meticulous and detailed. And then we had our apex originally right around here. Right there, we had our apex right there. So I can cut the branches back to that. Now I can kind of see if I want to wire some of these down. You can kind of tell that if I wire some of these down, it'll actually start to fill in really nice. But right now, still kind of getting the ones going up. Working myself up the tree. Some of these I can bring down. That actually will look really nice. So I did kind of this section here. This section here. So now I'm going to work myself into this section here. You can kind of see how thick this branch is right here. This one. A little bit. This one right here. That one's really thick and going far out, so I really got to cut that one back. Okay, that's starting to look a little bit better. All right, so now I zoomed out a little bit so you guys can see the tree a little bit better. Okay, and you can kind of see it's starting to have a little bit of a better shape now. Even though I did forget about it, it still kind of did what it needed to do, which is just grow vigorously. So now I'm going to search for those ones still going up, cut those off. Okay, so I've done this side, right? And you can see that these are all too far out. So now I can kind of bring it back a little bit. Bring it back. The one thing you gotta be careful about is just don't pre-bonsai this, or don't bring it back into a pre-bonsai state where basically you've got rid of all the growth that you've achieved. So try to control yourself from cutting it too much. Now, of course, we're gonna cut it back, and there's gonna be new buds that are going to develop all in this area, and that's how you kind of get that kind of volume and that fullness. So, you know, we're going to have to cut back, but don't go too crazy and cut off everything. Okay, yeah, that's looking kind of nice. We've got some really nice branches here, and I think I'm gonna wire some of these down just to kind of get us there a little faster. So I'm gonna wire some of these down just so we can fill that in a little faster. I've got some blank spots right here, and I've got a spot right here that's empty, and I think like these 2 branches will fill that in perfectly. And this one right here, I just need to bring it down and I can cut it back. So I'm gonna wire those really quick. And you'll notice that I'm starting to make these choices. These ones, we kind of set those branches, last time we did this. But now I'm starting to make choices up here at the top. Instead of just cutting all this back, which you can actually just go, if I want to cut this all back, I could just cut all these ones going up. But the thing is that I actually want some branches going down in these sections over here. So like right here, see this empty spot right here? This one right here. So what I want is I'm going to put some branches into that area. Since I've got these ones that are really long, I'm going to use them. If I cut them back, I won't be able to put them down and fill them in that nicely. So I'm going to grab some wire. I'm going to bring some of the branches I know I want to bring down. And then after that, we'll go back with my shears and go prune it back a little bit more. I wired a couple of the branches down. So we're up here at the top. I wired some of these down here. And the reason I did that is because I really need some branches here to fill in this space right here. Also, I taped up one of the branches here just to protect the cambium and brought that down. And then as you saw, I started to trim back some of the tree, and that's what I'm going to continue to do right now. It just sort of trim it back a little bit. And this is really very kind of detailed pruning. I don't have to go crazy, but I'm getting the ones that are going down, and I'm getting the ones that are going up. I'm just going to keep on pruning back as I go, getting some of the ones going up, and trying to define that structure a little bit. You know, we set some of the primary branches early on, so now we're just going to make sure we cut back to it. Okay, without cutting too much. A lot of the issue is going to be on the inside here, because you're going to get a lot of the ones going up, and they're going to be on the inside, so they're going to be kind of hidden. What you've got to do is kind of find them in there. And that's the ones, those are the ones that create a lot of that clutter. Right here, I've got a really thick branch right there, and you can see it even from the camera, so that one, the whole thing's got to go. The same with over here, it extends all the way on this side, and I don't need a branch like that that's coming around. I want that section to be very well defined, and that's the result of not pruning that early in the spring to see that, so I had a chance to grow out like that. But now I fixed it, so it should be better now. And then I'm taking care of things that are crossing each other so that I can keep all the pads together in one unit. And it's really those inside branches that are going to trip you up. Those are the ones that really create that clutter inside. So you've got to really get in there with your shear and cut those off. And that's the only way that you'll see definition in the branch structure. Originally, I kind of kept this branch here, I wrapped it, and originally I kind of liked it, but then after looking at it some more here, it was just way too thick for the tree. So I kind of cut it into a nub, so basically what will happen here at this point is that this section here will start to sprout, and then I'll just fill this in and prune it. So that's kind of how it looks right now. All right, so I think this tree is progressing pretty nicely. You know, I did miss the spring, so okay, I had some branches that were overgrown, and I probably missed you know, getting this looking nice sooner than I could, because I could have made those cuts in the spring that I just did right now, and I'd get this new spring flush of growth, and then it would have been filled in by, you know, it's June now, so it would have been filled in by now, or at least close to filling in. But since I didn't do that, it set me back a few months, but it's not a big deal. because I can just wait a little longer and then it'll look good, just take a little longer. So what I did was I went left and right and kind of reduced the pad layer, the ones going up, ones going down, and all the sucker branches on the bottom and all the ones on the inside here in sort of the crevices. So I got all those and I was able to identify where were my primary branches, and from the primary branches just kind of shape those back to where they were. Now let's go grow from those primary branches. All I have to do is keep them pruned back. This is probably the last wiring I'll have to do on this tree. So after this, once these are set, I'll take those off and then it's just go be pruning back to this and just ramifying the branches and the secondary branches, the tertiary branches, and just ramifying it as it goes. So then I did that for the bottom branches initially. And then as I went up, I had all these branches that were going straight up. You guys probably remember a bunch of these branches that were going straight up like this. And what I did was I brought some of those down. So instead of waiting for those branches to develop on the inside, I brought them down, and I've got some here, brought them down here, brought them down on this side, just to fill in the back here, because the front was actually pretty well developed on the sides here, but I had nothing back here. So what I did was I brought those ones down, and I set the structure on those. So now all we have to do is wait for those to set and cut the wire off, and we'll do the same thing we did with the bottom branches on the top later on. So there's my front. It's going to go in a little pot, and I'm hoping I can do that in the fall, so we'll see how this grows for the rest of the summer. The apex here, I never worry about the apex because the apex grows always the fastest. So this is going to sort of sprout here. I'm going to get a lot of sun coming in through here now. It's going to hit the apex, just go fill in. All I need at this point to maintain it is just my shears. I'm just going to go in here and prune the top just to create the crown. That's probably the easiest part at this point. So this one's going in a pot in the fall along with that blue atlas cedar. I'm looking forward to putting that in the pot this fall as well. So this is going to go in a nice small pot. It's probably going to be about this big. And then this tree will be done. I'm gonna put it on the bench. It'll just be maintenance with the shears. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the progression of this little Yaupon Holly. I really like how it turned out. I think it's gonna look really nice. I've got some really ugly parts in here, but luckily all this foliage is gonna hide it. Now when I look at this tree, I can just bring it in here, just use my shears and prune it back. It's gonna go in a pot. I think it's gonna look really good. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Thank you for waiting. I know I was gone for a little bit while I was moving my studio and warehouse. But if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And give me a like if you thought the video was helpful. Otherwise, as always, thanks for watching.